Hi, I am a stay-at-home mom, and I feel that it's important to save a lot of money. I have a degree in business and communications and have opted to stay home with my children as a priority, and I like to do what I can in order to help out in the home to save money, invest, and I do a lot of stuff. I will start a new business or I do investing with real estate and now with stocks. And so I have some methods to show you about what I have done. Some of these methods are really extreme, so the good thing to use them for are if you're wanting to get out of debt, or in my case, I do a lot of investing, and any penny I can save, I can invest. And I have our retirement all planned out that we could retire pretty soon at any time if we wanted, but the more I can accumulate in my investments, then we can retire in a better way. And so these are some of the extreme methods that I have used and currently use, and you can choose to adopt some of them, none of them, or just get ideas of what you could be doing with yourself. And so the first thing is to get out of debt. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. This is a scripture that I really like, and I really feel that God doesn't want us to be in debt, and He wants to help us to be able to not be a servant to anybody. And so He wants us to prosper and be able to do what we need to. The first way that I notice is to get out of debt is that you find all your credit cards, all your different consumer credit that you have out there, and you kind of put it on a calendar. I got this out of a One for the Money, which is a guide to family finance, and you can Google a copy of this complete guide. And so the highest interest rate or the lower balance, which one do you pay off first? I choose to pay off the highest interest rate first because I hate paying interest and paying higher money for people. But I think that if you are in a lot of consumer debt, you might not be able to be motivated enough to stick with it if you know you're going to be doing it for 5 years or something over that. So a lot of times that's when it's okay to use a lower balance first, because as soon as you see one thing paid off, it motivates you to keep going and do the rest. So the first thing you need to do is to set up a budget, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, depending on how you get paid or how it's easier for you. And basically you just have your planned income on one side and then what you actually spend on the other side, and you come up with all of your expenses that you might have. One of the things that are important that people neglect are the yearly budgets and expenses. And so it's important to remember that you have life insurance, that you have registration, or different things that you're having to pay, and you can see the yearly expenses over here. And my different this is a kind of a budget that I use, and it helps out to have a lot of things. Sometimes what I do is I put all my income up here of different ways I could make money, and then I put my fixed expenses here, and I put the expenses that kind of change right underneath it, because then I know how much I really have to spend every month. And so that's a method you can employ too. So again, with the yearly stuff, you've got to remember that your car expenses, you're going to need brakes every how many years, you're going to need oil changes and different things like that. You're also going to be spending money on birthday presents or different holidays, and you're going to need clothing or just different things that you're going to come up with. And every year what you can do is just have a calendar of the things you've been spending and add to it so that you can continue to build upon your yearly expenses. And then that's over here in my monthly expenses divided by 12. The irregular income planning, this is from Dave Ramsey that you can pull out. But this is important because some people don't know what they're going to make, and so you you can either use only this form or you can use a combination if you have some fixed income and some irregular income that you don't know what's going to happen and how much you're going to earn. So you can just put your wish items over here, and then you can put how much you're going to need, and you can kind of put a running total, and you could do this monthly. Or if you just wanted to do this because you are just completely irregular, then you can go ahead and list your mortgage on top, because that's first priority, and then your utilities and different things that are more priority than others, and then whatever's left at the end of the month and gets pushed over to the next one. So after you set up your budget, it's also important to build a reserve. A 3 to 6 month reserve is important. 3 month is minimum. So what you can do is I like to put a 3 month into a savings account that's pretty liquid. And so that way you can go ahead and have it whenever you want. And then I like to put my other 3 months into an equity line, so I'm not really saving that money. I just have an equity line I can draw from. And this only works if you have a home that you own and you have equity in the home. But I like to do that because I hate having a lot of money in the bank that's only earning 1% interest or less. So these are some ideas of companies that I've seen that can earn more than the average savings account. I don't like to put those in anything that's not a liquid account. So these are some options. So the first way that I save a lot of money is on food. I have a year's supply of food, and I have a year's supply of many other items that are not food, as well as clothing and different things. And so this helps me save a lot of money because I can buy in bulk, and then I can buy when things are on sale. And so I did create an Excel sheet to show the different ways that you can save. So for instance, pinto beans, I found out that the best place to buy them is Costco, and I went ahead and kind of priced out in different places that you could buy them. And Winco, I can get my rice cheapest there, and I buy those things in bulk. There's also other things I don't buy in bulk, like ketchup or different things, and I'll put in here the cheapest prices that I've ever paid for these items so that I can kind of get an idea of when I would be willing to buy those or not, because sometimes you just forget. And so these are the main products that I tend to use a lot, and I can just grow this list, and I have it on my phone, so if I ever need to just kind of look and I see a sale and I want to know if that's a good price because I don't remember, I go ahead and look it up really fast. I've emailed it to myself too, so that it's easy to just do a search on my email and be able to pull it up as well if I don't have it on my phone or something. But one of the things that I've done when I go on a shopping trip is I'll take pictures of different items so that I can remember what they cost at Walmart versus Winco or somewhere else, and then I can remember, oh yeah, they're cheaper here, and Walmart's right next to my house, and so I can just come back and buy them there. And produce at Winco is not always the cheapest. Sometimes I'll buy it. Sometimes when these signs are green, I pay attention to those prices at Winco, because that means it's their discounted prices. And when they're yellow, it's not the discounted price, but you can see, and a lot of times it's cheaper elsewhere. And so I just shop the ads a lot with that. But what I do is I do subscribe to like the grocery outlet that is nearby, and then Rosars, and then Albertsons and Fred Meyer. You can see them online. Some of these have apps as well, or for grocery outlet, every city has some kind of a grocery outlet that might have discounted prices because things are nearing their expiration or different things like that. I noticed that at grocery outlet, not everything's cheap. Only the stuff on their ads is normally cheap. So this is a trip here that chicken was like, gosh, I think it was like $1.33 a pound or something. It was super cheap, so I stocked up, and same with the fish here. You do have to be careful with some items, just to make sure. I bought a lot of fish in this store, and I realized that it came from China, and I don't trust fish from China very much, and so you need to do your homework. And I'm gonna end up donating that fish because I learned about it and didn't like that. But these are some of the items. These Slim Fasts, I got them for 50 cents at the grocery outlet because they were nearing their expiration, or these were actually a little bit expired, um, but that's something. They have carts that sometimes will have stuff that's either nearing expiration or it's expired, and I'll buy it because it's still good. And so these are just kind of pictures of my pantry of what it looks like with some of the food that I bought because it was on sale. And I buy a ton when it's on sale. And this is just kind of showing the bulk items and the different containers you can use to have them. Uh, I use these containers a lot. They're called peat containers, and those help because they have a rubber seal on the lid, and then you can reuse them. I think they're like a little bit over $3 to buy them with everything, but I just reuse them so much that it makes sense rather than trying to store stuff in the tin cans that you're going to throw away later. So I never pay more than $1 for a bag of bread, whether it's hot dog buns or hamburger or regular bread or different things. And the dollar stores are starting to carry them for $1. Or there's a Franz bakery outlet where I got these. Most cities have a bakery outlet or something, and I got these for 4 for $3 or 5 for $5, just depending on which ones I bought. And so I freeze a lot of my food when I cook it, and that way it can create a meal for later, which helps save money as well. And beans, I try to freeze them when I make a big pot of beans rather than buying the canned beans, but I don't always follow that. I either buy them on sale or I try to freeze as much as I can, but sometimes we run out of time as moms. So one of the most important things that I do is I try to create a $5 dinner. And the way that I do this is that I buy things when they're on sale, and then I create a meal around it by stuff that I already have in my pantry and freezer. And so I will create a $5 dinner for a family of 6, and sometimes it'll cost me more than $5, but sometimes that dinner will last me 2 nights, and so then it's still a $5 dinner. And something that I feel like is important to have is an emergency food and a lazy meals, because a lot of times we just don't want to cook, and so it's okay to freeze your dinners and then put them back put them in the freezer after you've cooked them and eaten them one day so that you can have a lazy meal. That's probably the cheapest way. And then the other ways are you could just buy, the hamburger helpers, or you buy the lasagnas. Hamburger helpers aren't very healthy, so I don't love them, but it's better than going to McDonald's because your kids are crying and you don't feel like cooking dinner. And so the other thing to emergency foods, I tend to go to Little Caesars for $5 pizza on that as well, if it's just I don't even want to cook or deal with anything. So I have that option. Domino's has $3 pizzas on Monday as well that are medium sized. Usually 2 of those will feed our family. But they don't do it in every state. So in Idaho they do that. The kids' lunches, I keep them at $1 or less. Like I try to keep them at about $1 or so. And so methods to do that, you can see here that I just calculated 170 days of school and different things I've done to save money. So my peanut butter, I used to buy it for $1. I think now it's starting to cost a little bit more, but this is how much I can try to save. I try to save at least $1 on each jar, so I only buy it then. The bagels, this is the savings of the different things I can do. So that'll save you a lot of money per year per child. And same thing with my husband. He takes his lunch to work, and so that saves us a lot of money. And there's some freebie sites that can be visited that you can find other ways to save on food. And so this completes this part of it, and we're going to talk about other things that we can save on the next video. So this is video